Good afternoon, and welcome to the University of Calgary 2020 Legacy Society event. I'm Dr. Lorraine Capozzi, and I had the great opportunity to do both my medical degree and PhD right here at the University of Calgary as part of the Leaders in Medicine program. I'm now in my residency training to be a physical medicine and rehabilitation specialist, planning to go into a subspecialty in cancer rehabilitation. You will learn more about this area of medicine and research being done in this exciting area throughout this event. I'm honored to be here today sharing this virtual space with an extraordinary group of people. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. Before we begin the program, we would like to take the opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta. The City of Calgary is also home to Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3. Wherever you happen to be joining us from today, I'm confident that each of us are residing on the unceded territories of at least one Indigenous First Nation. I'd like to do an overall acknowledgement to these various nations and to express our thanks for being able to call these lands our respective homes. We are also thankful to have the opportunity to connect with you, our Legacy Society members and special guests, even when we can't be in the same room. We've come together this afternoon to celebrate the impact of giving, specifically legacy giving, and share some of the exciting work that's made possible by our philanthropic community. For those of you who are new to this event, the University of Calgary Legacy Society celebrates individuals who have included UCalgary in their estate plans. These contributions are earmarked to support student awards and bursaries, innovative teaching and learning initiatives, and life-changing research. And they help to secure the future of this institution. For the donor, a legacy gift is an opportunity to ensure your passion and values will continue to live on and inspire future generations to come. It's an opportunity to transform the world and establish how you would like to be remembered. It is one of the ultimate forms of generosity, and UCalgary is incredibly grateful to be part of your legacy. At this time, I'd like to invite Nuveen Peters, Vice President of Advancement, to share more about how you, our philanthropic community, helped UCalgary make history this year.
Thank you, Lorraine. Once again, I'd like to welcome everyone to our 5th annual Legacy Society event. While this is certainly a change from our usual format, I'm so glad we can still come together, even virtually, to celebrate and share the exciting work made possible by you, our philanthropic community. The University of Calgary Legacy Society is a truly exceptional group of people. These are visionaries, change makers, champions of the community. By including UCalgary in your estate plans, each of you have made an extraordinary commitment to the university and beyond, to future generations. Simply put, your legacy is a better tomorrow. I'm inspired by the generosity of spirit represented here this afternoon. We don't need to be in the same room to feel that connection. We're connected by our shared vision. And it's your passion, your belief in UCalgary that helped make history this summer as we closed our transformative Energize campaign. We launched Energize with the goal of raising $1.3 billion to elevate student experiences, accelerate research outcomes, and strengthen community connections. $1.3 billion. To call it ambitious might be an understatement, especially for a young, mid-sized university. But in the end, through your support, we raised an incredible $1.41 billion, making Energize the 3rd largest successfully completed fundraising campaign in Canadian history. It's a remarkable achievement, made possible by you. It's proof of our collective power to make extraordinary things happen. And with more than $91 million in legacy gifts pledged during the campaign, it's proof of your commitment to shape the future of generations to come. And we're making it happen together. We're transforming teaching and learning through the globally recognized Taylor Institute. We're advancing precision medicine, child health and wellness, stroke, brain, and mental health research through the Cummings School of Medicine. We're supporting students with UCalgary Strong, one of the first student-focused mental health and wellness programs in Canada. We're nurturing entrepreneurial thinking with the creation of a robust innovation ecosystem that includes the Hunter Hub, USeed, Life Sciences Innovation Hub, and the Creative Destruction Lab Rockies. More than that, together we're creating a culture of philanthropy. Your legacy gift makes lasting positive change possible, and your passion inspires others to be a part of it. In fact, many of our Legacy Society members who are with us today joined us because they were inspired by a gift like yours. That's the power of philanthropy, of your vision and commitment. You empower us to change the world, and I can't think of a more meaningful way to leave a legacy. On behalf of all of us at UCalgary, thank you. And with that, I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Ed McCauley, President and Vice Chancellor of the University of Calgary. As a champion of UCalgary research and the community, there are few better people to speak about the impact of your support. An internationally recognized scholar and researcher, a fellow of the Royal Society of Canada, and a former Tier 1 Canada Research Chair, President McCauley is part of the national and global research communities. Before he began his tenure as president in 2019, Ed served as professor, researcher, and vice president research. He has seen firsthand the impact of philanthropy on research at UCalgary and beyond. But before I turn it over to Ed, I'd like to share with you a taste of what Energize means to us, to Ed, myself, and the entire campus community, and how your support has truly energized the University of Calgary.
You said, aim high. And together, we did. We are energized today and for an exciting, dynamic tomorrow. Powered by a collective vision, energized by the support of our community, energized by those who can see the difference we can make, energized by you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ed McCauley, President and Vice Chancellor of the University of Calgary. It's such a thrill to share the results of our historic Energize campaign, especially here today with so many of the people who got us there. I'd like to join Naveen in thanking all of you for the incredible support and generosity that you contribute towards our community. You've shared our conviction that a great city needs a great research university. And I'm honored today to highlight some of the impact that you have helped us create. Together, we've positioned the University of Calgary as a global leader in key areas of research excellence. We've focused on three major priorities in which we match strength to opportunities, increase research capacity, and drive the growth of the innovation ecosystem. This approach empowers our scholars to work collectively on grand challenges related to areas such as mental health, chronic disease, and the overall quality of life in our community. We've been able to make significant progress on many of these issues. But today, I'll focus on just one area of leadership, and that is the incredible work of our researchers in exercise oncology. As you know, the need for this research is critical. Nearly half of all Canadians are expected to develop cancer at some point in their lifetime. And whether it is a personal diagnosis or that of a loved one, we have all been affected by this disease. This is why I'm so proud to say that we are home to a world-class program in exercise oncology. University of Calgary experts are leading research at the forefront of this field, and they're applying their findings to transform the standard of cancer care. A great example is the university's Thrive Center, led by our keynote speaker today, Dr. Nicole Koulos-Reed. This is the first of its kind in Canada. The Thrive Center is a fitness facility specifically designed to improve quality of life for cancer patients and their families through safe and effective exercise. The Thrive Center also supports research that leads the country in exercise oncology, and it creates incredible learning experiences for our students. Programs like this are a big part of the reason that our Faculty of Kinesiology is ranked as the #1 sports science school in North America. And supporters like you are the drivers behind our success as a research-intensive university. Members of the Legacy Society play a pivotal role in building our capacity for excellence in our research, in our teaching, in our learning, and throughout our community partnerships. To illustrate this point, I'd like to share the story of one Legacy Society member with us today. Trevor Wilmer contributed a legacy gift towards our cancer survivorship and exercise program. He experienced the benefits of University of Calgary research firsthand, and he wanted to help others with a gift that will continue to support meaningful research and training in exercise oncology. Trevor's story is so inspiring. I'm delighted to share his experience with you now.
It put me into a place of total unknowns. It was a shock to the system. I didn't know what to expect. I was afraid. Cancer to me meant the end. The treatment can really affect you physically. That's when I started getting even more afraid of what the road was going to hold. So my initial treatment was just supposed to be surgery. I wasn't supposed to need radiation, but that news came later on, so it sort of came to me in 2 phases. To counter some of the treatment, exercise is good. So I've never exercised prior to that in my life. So I didn't know what to expect. But it was a change. It initiated a change in my life.
Exercise oncology is the use of exercise, or you can think about it in terms of physical activity or movement to support wellness in cancer survivors. So that can be anywhere along the cancer continuum, from prehabilitation prior to starting any treatment, through treatment and into survivorship phases. So they basically come into our program and they start to accrue the benefits of exercise from day one, really. And I think Trevor will tell you it didn't take longer than a week or 2 for him to go, yeah, okay, this is something that's gonna help and it's gonna work. And we build a community. So it is tailored to them. It's not generalized exercise prescription. It's very much tailored within our model. And they see the benefits right away.
The Thrive Center was a turning point in my journey. That's where I started to take control. It gave me the control that the cancer was taking away.
We really get to know our participants. They really become part of our whole community. Having that personal connection from somebody like Trevor, who says, this is important enough to me that I'm leaving this as a legacy. So it's heartwarming, number one. Sorry, I get emotional when I talk about this stuff. It's really special, right? That somebody thinks enough of this program to leave a legacy.
The opportunities that this Thrive Center gave to us was far beyond just exercise. It was life-changing. So, and that continues today. Cancer-free for 7 years now.
Wow, having personally worked with Trevor throughout his cancer journey and in the Thrive Center, it's especially touching to hear the impact the Thrive Center has had on his life. The extraordinary commitment he has made with his legacy gift is truly inspiring. It gives me great hope for the future of cancer care in our province and beyond. Thank you, Trevor, for sharing your story with us and for supporting life-changing research that will benefit generations to come. We also met Dr. Nicole Koulos-Reed in Trevor's video, and we are thrilled to have her here with us this afternoon to share more about her work. Nicole is a professor in health and exercise psychology at the Faculty of Kinesiology and an adjunct professor in the Department of Oncology in the Cummings School of Medicine at the University of Calgary. Her research in exercise oncology moves evidence into practice by developing and implementing programs that support physical activity for cancer survivors. Her goal is to make exercise part of standard cancer care from pre-treatment into survivorship. Nicole and I know each other very well, as she was my PhD supervisor, and together we have recently adopted new titles as entrepreneurs, developing training programs for exercise professionals to work safely and effectively with cancer survivors. Nicole is an outstanding mentor and teacher and has played a huge role in my life and the direction of my career. Her research lab is full of energy and hope for the future, buzzing with undergraduate and master's students, PhD students and postdoctoral fellows, as well as exercise physiologists, all working to improve the lives of cancer survivors. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you for the introduction, Loren, and to the Legacy Society event for having us today. You've heard now the story from Trevor, and I'm sure many of you have someone in your life who has had cancer. Cancer is our most common chronic disease. What I would like to highlight here, though, are the survival rates. You can see in 2020, there are projected to be over 40,000 cancer survivors. Thus, there is a need to consider the ways that cancer survivors can be supported to lead healthier lives that will enhance their recovery, decrease their risk for recurrence, and thereby decrease their healthcare costs, and enhance their overall quality of life. Exercise is an evidence-based tool that can do all of these things for cancer survivors. It is both safe and beneficial at any stage of the cancer experience. Exercise oncology in prehabilitation gets cancer patients ready for their treatments. During treatment, we use exercise to alleviate the usual decline and help individuals prepare for recovery. Post-treatment and into survivorship, exercise can be used to improve functioning, enhance mental and physical well-being, and increase overall quality of life. Finally, most recently in exercise oncology, we've seen its use with advanced cancer care to enhance overall quality of life. This exercise evidence has resulted in specific exercise guidelines for cancer survivors. You may note that these are very similar to the healthy adult exercise guidelines. However, what is key is the need to tailor to cancers. We cannot simply toss these guidelines at individuals who have been recently diagnosed or expect them to simply start exercising without the support. Can you imagine exercising when you feel sick or are exhausted? Thus, our work is not only to support individual cancer survivors in this exercise behavior change, but it is about changing the system, providing a supportive community for cancer survivors to engage in exercise, facilitating referral through clinical settings, such as at the Tom Baker Cancer Center, and working with the healthcare system to make exercise part of standard cancer care. In January 2020, we were awarded one of 5 national cancer survivorship team grants from the Canadian Cancer Society and the Canadian Institutes of Health Research, with additional funding support from Alberta Cancer Foundation. Our Project Excel, which is Exercise for Cancer to Enhance Living Well, will address an underserved cancer survivor population, providing a supportive cancer care resource across the cancer journey to all cancer survivors. Over the past 4 years in Alberta, we have built the Alberta Cancer Exercise, or ACE program. However, ACE has been limited to our major urban centers. Excel will thus take this very successful program model and move it to rural and remote settings, both across Alberta as well as across the country over the next 5 years. Excel will address a critical gap in supportive cancer care, providing rural and remote areas with exercise oncology resources. This will support those cancer survivors who typically experience lower activity levels, poorer health, and diminished quality of life. This is a disparity that Excel will address. Specifically, Excel includes online delivery, recently started this September, facilitating access and removing many of the barriers currently being experienced due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It's a 12-week exercise program with 2 classes a week. Screening is provided by our trained certified exercise physiologists for every participant, ensuring we tailor the program to their needs. As a hybrid implementation effectiveness study, we will be measuring fitness changes, exercise levels, and patient-reported outcomes, including quality of life and mental well-being. Our community-based programs we hope to see back in 2021. You may be wondering, what would an online exercise oncology class look like? Well, for us, the COVID pandemic has forced us to rethink how we can support cancer survivors in their exercise behavior change. So in May, we started our online delivery via Zoom. Our classes are taught by exceptional fitness professionals trained in exercise oncology. Participants are guided not only in doing the exercise, but in how to make sustainable changes that will improve their well-being. And importantly, our classes are about building this community of support. While having cancer survivors into our physical locations, such as the Thrive Center, are ideal, we are able to provide that same connection and community in this online format. In addition, delivering online increases our outreach and our ability to serve more cancer survivors. As you can see from this summer participant, summer didn't mean she had to stop classes. What would normally have been a barrier was addressed by being able to take the program with her. And it is this community, the ability to fully support our cancer survivors and provide them with this opportunity to be in control of their health and wellness. That is what our Thrive Center, our ACE program, and now our Project Excel are about. Exercise oncology is an opportunity for our healthcare system to fully support wellness within the cancer journey. When we do this, we can help our cancer survivors move from surviving to thriving. And we can support the cancer care system to include exercise as part of standard cancer care for all cancer survivors, regardless of where they live. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole, for giving us insight into this exciting area of exercise oncology. We've actually had some questions submitted from our audience members, and I would actually like to ask you some of these questions now. So I want to learn a little bit more, and our audience would like to learn a little bit more about exercise oncology and whether it's part of current cancer care. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. That's a great question. So right now, there really isn't any place where exercise oncology is part of the cancer care system. There are different researchers, colleagues all over the world doing this area of work, but really systematically so that it's part of the care pathway and what every cancer survivor would have access to, that really doesn't exist. I think here in Alberta, we're really leading the way about building wellness into this cancer journey.
Wow.
Still a few more steps to go, but hopefully within the next few years, we're gonna see our Alberta model really be something that's taken out and brought across the country. It's pretty exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what do you think, you know, I know your work is really leading the world, like you've said, in terms of translating this evidence into practice. But what do you think is unique about the work that you're doing and helping to get this exercise oncology as part of cancer care?
Yeah, I think, you know, the work we do it's hybrid implementation effectiveness, right? So we're still very much interested in the research outcomes. Are we improving physical activity levels? Are we enhancing quality of life? But we're doing it in real world settings, right? So it's messier. We're going out to our community partners, places like the City of Calgary Recreation or the YMCA or Wellspring Calgary, and we're giving them what they need, the resources and support and the training to really implement it in those settings. So less control. It's not like everybody's just coming into my lab and doing their thing, but it enables us to see, well, what's gonna really work in the real world? How do we need to facilitate referral from the center to programs in the community setting? And really one of the key things I think that we've seen in our work is the need for that clinical exercise physiologist. So they're a highly trained professional in the fitness world, and they are the person that has the scope of practice to really help move people from that clinical setting to see what they need. And you would know this in your field of study in medicine, right?
Yeah.
What support do they need from exercise to then be able to do it in those community settings safely and effectively?
amazing to see the work you've done with the Alberta Cancer Exercise Program across Alberta, and now expanding it with Excel. How exciting that, you know, this work has been proven to be effective in our province, and now it's you know, taking flight across the country. It's just wonderful. I know that some of the audience members were submitting questions and asking about their experience with cancer, and like you mentioned, we have a growing number of cancer survivors. And you know, you mentioned those numbers: one in two men, 1 in 2.5 women in their lifetime will be diagnosed. So there's this huge population of cancer survivors. What would you say is important for audience members who have been diagnosed or who have family members who have been diagnosed, if they would like to start being active? What are some things they should know?
Right, great question again. So one thing to clarify, the number I said earlier in my presentation, cancer survivors actually are larger than the number of individuals who will pass away from cancer. So I had said 40,000, it should be 140,000 cancer survivors that we'll see alone in 2020. So important clarification, those numbers are a bit different. So in terms of, you know, what should somebody who's looking to start be considering? And I think if they're already fit, you know, they probably know what they want to do, and it's about listening to their own body.
Okay.
If it's brand new to them, which it is for many cancer survivors, it is really about finding that trained professional who has exercise oncology experience and expertise to make sure they know how to tailor it. There are unique needs depending on where they are in their cancer journey. There are unique needs depending on the type of cancer, right? Your own work in head and neck cancer clearly showed a different need. So what Trevor went through in his program versus somebody who maybe has brain cancer or lung cancer, very different symptoms and side effects. So we know we can tailor exercise, and so that's where that role of the professional really becomes key.
Yeah. I think that's something that's so important about the work that you do, is we know this overarching prescription for cancer survivors that's quite broad, but actually thinking more specifically, like you said in your presentation, about what does a head and neck cancer patient need, what does a breast cancer patient need, and then I know in all of your exercise programs that tailoring piece really takes on a role of its own in having the exercise professional make the exercise program fit for that individual. So it's really exciting work. Now, we're all living in this new world of the COVID pandemic, and you talked about this a little bit in your presentation, how you've really had to shift in your work and take a lot of the community programs and bring them online. So can you talk a little bit about what that looks like, and if you are, I know one of the audience members asked, are you able to reach more cancer survivors by actually shifting online?
Right. So it's a change, and it's probably not something any of us thought we would do this quickly. We always had the plans within Project Excel, because when we're reaching out to rural and remote, delivering online, delivering remotely was something we knew we were going to have to do. COVID's forced us for sure to do it sooner, right? And so our transition was from completely in person to all of a sudden completely online. And it's different. We miss many aspects of being able to have people come into our center or work with our community partners. And so that part takes some getting used to. But there's a silver lining. And really it is that we can absolutely potentially increase our outreach, right? That we have that potential to remove barriers of access, to remove barriers of when they're really immunocompromised during treatment and wouldn't want to come into a public setting. And we see that heightened right now with COVID, right? We don't want somebody who's undergoing treatment for cancer to be potentially exposed to the virus in the community. Yet exercise could play a really big role in enhancing their functioning and overall well-being. And I think I mentioned this in the talk, really exercise gives back people that sense of control. So if we can deliver it online and give them that sense of control that they're part of this movement through their cancer journey and integrating wellness into it, using that online forum to do so, absolutely can be spectacular. I think one of the key factors, again, I come back to this, but it's our trained professionals. So we have put up a whole program of how do we deliver effectively online, right? And as an instructor or a professor at the university, you know, we see that in just teaching our classes, but when we're teaching an exercise program, the communication, the safety considerations, the ability to make sure we've got good internet connections, right? Like all of these become additional factors then that we start to work on.
I know a lot of your work is really in that behavior change piece as well, and how we help cancer survivors who have maybe been inactive start to become more active.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure in your work shifting online, you do a lot of work teaching the exercise professionals to help people adopt and adhere to exercise as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the audience members asked specifically about exercise prescription. So I know we talked about this a little bit already, but can you just go over what the general prescription would be, and give people an idea of kind of aerobic exercise and resistance type exercise that cancer survivors should be doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So the exercise guidelines are very similar, as I mentioned, to what we have for healthy adults, and that is to get about 90 minutes a week of moderate to vigorous aerobic activity. So that would be your walking, your cycling, if they're a jogger, all of those sorts of activities. It's in addition, it's 2 days a week of resistance training. So that's adding in body-based weight resistance movements, or adding in bands or light weights. It doesn't have to be a fancy gym setup or big weights. It's just adding in that additional resistance training work. And then the third component is the flexibility piece, right? Stretching. And the guidelines are great. They are really the gold standard for how do we achieve optimal fitness benefits. However, what I think every cancer survivor needs to know, and especially as they're starting this, it's a new thing, or they're going through treatment, is to do what they can. We always talk about move more, right?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily get exercise, it's how can you change your usual activities to simply move more. And really, what prescription is the best is whatever they're going to do on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So as long as they are engaging in even 5 or 10 minutes a day, that's going to afford many of the benefits.
Isn't that neat? So we kind of have this general prescription, but like you said, actually having people just be active, do some movement versus doing no movement is better. And so getting them to start with just some light walking or whatever it might be that they feel they're able to do. What would you say for a cancer survivor here locally in Calgary, what would you say in terms of some resources that they can access right away, or ways that they could kind of reach out and get started to be active?
Yeah, in Calgary we have our ACE program, ACE at UCalgary, and then we have this Project Excel. So they can connect with us via those emails and find out more about any of the programs or resources we have available.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Nicole. I know we could talk about this forever.
You're welcome, Lauren.
I'm really glad that we had the opportunity to answer some questions from our audience members and hear more about your work. I want to take the time now to thank you, our Legacy Society members, and our special guests for joining us this afternoon. This was a new experience for some of us, and I'm glad we were able to make it work to share Trevor's story, Nicole's research, and incredible impact in philanthropy here at the UCalgary and beyond. If you missed anything this afternoon in the program, please watch for a follow-up email in the coming days, and there will be a link for the full event recording. I'd like to close by inviting UCalgary's Legacy Giving team, Sherry Dahl and Blair Nichols, to say a few words.
Thanks, Lorraine, and thanks to each of you for joining us online this afternoon. While we would have loved to see you in person, I'm thrilled we were able to still connect today. We're so grateful for the extraordinary support of our Legacy Society members. Your passion and commitment fuels discovery, creativity, and innovation here at UCalgary.
Not only do legacy gifts benefit and support our researchers and our students, your philanthropic support creates a positive change in both our local and global communities. For those of you who are thinking or considering a legacy gift, Sherry and I are here to support and navigate the process of charitable giving in your estate, wherever you are. Remember, every gift, no matter the size, makes a difference and helps us create a better world for generations to come. Thanks again for joining us, and have a great evening.